Hey, what's up guys, Roxel here, and in today's video, I wanted to go over the recently released 2v8 game mode in Dead by Daylight to figure out if it's any good. This game mode is of course based around the idea of 2 killers and 8 survivors instead of the normal 1 vs 4 format. It was something people have seemed to have requested for a long time, as many did not like the pressures solo killer brought. After a couple surveys hinting the devs were working on it, it was finally implemented into the game on July 25th. I'll go over a quick summary of the different aspects of it, and then add what I think the game mode needs for improvements to actually make it a permanent addition to the game. The first way the devs decided to do this 2v8 game mode was by completely redoing how the loadout system works for both sides. You can no longer choose specific perks, add-ons, items, or offerings. As killer, there are only 5 original characters currently, with the devs planning to add more later. Along with some general buffs, each individual killer gets a special set of abilities you wouldn't normally get base kit in 1v4. Trapper can give a speed boost to their fellow teammate by placing a trap nearby. Billy can now no longer insta-down with his chainsaw, but he exposes survivors he runs by with it. Wraith makes nearby teammates undetectable in cloak form, Nurse gains an extra blink when near a teammate, and Huntress can reveal auras of survivors she hits with their hatchet to her fellow killer. For Survivor, you can pick any character you want in the game. However, instead of perks, you get to choose a class that gives you a certain set of buffs. Currently, there are 4 classes. Escapist gives you buffs that will help you during chase, Guide helps out with locating and doing generators, Medic gives you different healing buffs, and finally Scout helps you on seeing the killer's location. Every class also gives you the ability to self-heal once you reach the second hook state, and you also get the ability to fully recover from the dying state upon reaching that second stage. Getting to the games themselves, the survivors still have to do generators and escape like normal, but there are 8 now you have to do in a match instead of 5. This also means there are 13 total generators, and also the time to do them got reduced to 70 seconds as well, down from 90. The maps got changes too to fit the 13 generators. This is them being a lot bigger with more pallets. Since there were specific map changes, there are only 5 realms that the devs customized for it currently. Also for survivors, there are 3 gates in the endgame instead of 2, and 3 hatches instead of 1 that spawn when there are 2 survivors remaining. For the 2 killers, you still have to get hooks and kill survivors like normal. However, the way you hook survivors is a lot different in this game mode. Instead of picking them up and putting them on a hook, all you have to do is stomp on a down survivor. This sends them to a cage that gets put on a random spot on the map and automatically gives them a hook state. Like 1v4, it takes 3 of these hook states to fully kill a survivor. Killers still win by getting enough kills / hook states, and survivors win by escaping. Other than some small things I may have left out, that's pretty much the game mode. So now I'll get into my thoughts of both sides and the game mode as a whole. I was a bit afraid Killer would feel a bit bad seeing how much they changed the way Killer works in some ways. Like Hillbilly not being able to insta-down anymore with his chainsaw. But from the matches I played with friends, it all actually seemed pretty fun and balanced. Billy seems to do just fine without the insta-down, and that whole making people expose as he runs by is a pretty fun compensation buff. I got some sick combos in when doing this with friends. Well, I got sick combos in general when playing Killer. Just being able to combo different abilities together adds so much depth to the game I've always wanted. Some good combos my friends and I have been doing are like Hillbilly Trapper and Hillbilly Wraith. The Hillbilly Trapper combo works by having trappers just set up traps everywhere, preferably around loops and where survivors go often. Then once a trap gets activated, Billy has the speed to get across the map to catch whoever's in the trap almost every time. It's a combo Trapper has always dreamed of, since trapping people across the map means almost nothing in 1v4 a lot of the time because he can't reach them. The Billy Wraith combo mainly goes into the whole exposed survivors Hillbilly runs by with his chainsaw skill. Once they get exposed, as long as Billy keeps going with his chainsaw, that survivor stays exposed. Wraith I found to often be the perfect killer to follow up on Billy, as he can get decent speed in cloak form, and can basic M1 attack to follow up right out of his power, unlike a character like Nurse, who if you didn't know, attacks after blinks count as special attacks, so she can't insta-down exposed survivors. There are definitely some other solid combos in here you can try yourself with the other killers, but I think you get the idea. With only 5 killers, it opens up so many unique opportunities to the game you wouldn't normally get in 1v4. Even just 2 killers being there to M1 a guy is something you would never really get the feeling of in a 1v4 game. Also, I tried out each killer, and I think the current 5 do actually all have a decent amount of strength, and none really stood out to me as too weak. Even Trapper, who in 1v4 is seen as one of the worst characters in the game. However, here he can actually put in a crap ton of work due to the amount of traps he spawns with, and the buffs he got to setting speed and such. Also, the whole stomping to hook people mechanic feels super nice, and fits the game mode perfectly, I think. I can definitely see why they did it, as hooking people normally would just take too long. The unique skills they gave each killer have been super fun too, as mentioned before. The ones that benefit your teammates specifically are my favorite ones, like Wraith making them undetectable, and the whole Hillbilly insta-down thing mentioned earlier. I think my only gripe with this part is that I wasn't a fan of the buffs that felt a little more selfish, like Nurse getting an extra blink when near a teammate. I hope they do more of the team-oriented ones in the future instead. I wouldn't mind them possibly going back to these older killers too and giving us more options. I think it would be really fun to be able to customize aspects of your killer build similar to 1v4. Of course, it would just be the skills that can be switched out and customized for balance reasons, but adding that in would add a crap ton more depth into the role. Another small complaint I have for Killer is how much variety and quality the matches were. Like, some are complete stomps, but others we barely got any hooks in. My main guess is that this is due to survivor problems I'm mentioning in the next section, but thought I would mention it here as it does affect Killer in a major way. Honestly, before this game mode even released, I predicted that nobody was going to want to play Survivor. Like, let's be real, this whole game mode is about the two killers. Once I saw that 400% blood point incentive that I've never seen in the game before, and the 20-minute killer queues, I knew I was correct. But what is the problem with Survivor then if it's all pretty much the same? Well, I think it being the same is actually part of the main issue. The class system they added is sort of fun, but it does restrict any creative things you can do with Survivor. I think Survivor needs like some more new toys to play with in this game mode, as it being two killers on its own brings enough new stuff for the killer side. Another thing I think makes Survivor worse is due to a fundamental issue the game has had for a long time being exemplified by this game mode, the objective. Sitting on generators is not that fun, and now since you have 8 different teammates that can be chased by the killer, it makes you a bit less likely to be chased yourself. Even though they reduce gen times, it is still 8 different generators you have to do in total, and not to mention the constant healing you will most likely be doing in this too. It's just too many progress bars still, like the main game. I personally think the most fun moments in this game of Survivor is when you're interacting with the killer, but these generators make it so you're forced to stay away from them to do it. This problem has always been in 1v4 too, and has been mentioned by many for a long time. I think 2v8 may be the perfect testing ground to try something new and fun for the survivors to do, as it could reduce the queue times and not affect the game in a major way since it's not the main game mode. One of my personal favorite ideas is the part system I heard YouTuber/streamer man Scott Jund recommend in one of his older videos. It's probably not his idea originally as he mentions, but basically when you interact with a generator, it'll show you an icon for a part needed. It spawns across the map from where you are, but it gives you the reward of greatly reduced gen time if grabbed and put into the generator. Now you could still do the generator without this part, but it would take significantly longer to do the gen, like 120 seconds. What is preferred for you to do is to go out and grab the part, which will make you do the generator, let's say 4 times faster than normal. This all makes it so survivors don't have to sit on gens that much, and it also forces interaction with the killer. You can let me know your thoughts on this idea in the comments, and if you have your own, feel free to let me know down there too. Overall, though, I think this would be a pretty fun thing to test out in the 2v8 game mode in particular, as I said before. It fits in perfectly with the chaos of the game mode, and would most likely solve the survivor problem, I think. Another thing they could do if this is too much, is maybe giving survivors a bit more options on what they can add to their builds. I'm not fully certain on what it could be without making it OP, but I think something like being able to bring special items or something could be fun. I've always loved the flashlight saves, pallet saves, and saddle plays on Survivor in particular. These got removed in 2v8 pretty much, but if something like these can be given to Survivor to make it more fun, I definitely think the queue times would be reduced. In my opinion, there's just a lack of skill expression currently, as all you can really do is loop the killer like usual. But even then, if they both show up, you're going to get hit no matter what, like you would against a knight in 1v4. The conclusion for me here is that the 2v8 game mode overall is pretty solid, especially for killer. Finally having someone to help back you up can feel pretty relieving. It's some of the most fun I've had in the game for a while, but I have to be realistic here on seeing how the other side plays out. I don't think the game mode is actually ready to be in the main game yet long term, as I could easily see those queue times worsening over time if it's just left in as is. I do have faith in the devs to solve the survivor problem, as they definitely did pretty well with killer. Also, as of recent years, they have gotten better at listening to the community, I would say. This is pretty much a test too, so I'm sure the devs are all ears on this stuff. Anyway, that's all I wanted to go over for 2v8 in this video. You can let me know your thoughts on the game mode in the comments. Thank you all for the support as always, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Rock skull. All I want to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rock skull. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright.